Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for leaving me in charge. And thank you for holding today's hearing to conduct the oversight on the Council on Environmental Quality and CEQ. And thank you for coming with us today, Chair. I know that both you and I are very proud of this committee's monumental achievement of developing and reporting surface transportation and drinking and wastewater legislation unanimously last year. And we're also very proud that when those bills became law at the end of the last year as part of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, IIJA, and soon hopefully our water legislation, which we passed last week out of committee unanimously, will also join that IIJA into law. A top priority for all of us in the committee is to make sure the programs and authorizations we carefully negotiated move from being words on a page to progress to projects on the ground. If IIJA is implemented as Congress intended, we will develop modern roads and bridges to connect rural communities, critical water infrastructure projects to create access to clean water, improvements to our transmission system to ensure that access to reliable and affordable power, and the development of natural gas pipelines and other energy projects to ensure fuel for both here and exports abroad, a need that has been made all the more real by the Russia war in Ukraine. The funding and authorizations provided by IIJA will propel development, but those projects must also complete environmental reviews and secure federal permits before shovels can actually go in the ground. In that legislation, we also recognize that the status quo for NEPA reviews and permitting has been unacceptable. So a 2020 CEQ report found that the average environmental impact statement took 4.5 years to be completed. We know that some projects can take up to 10 years to get through the NEPA permitting process. Congress explicitly directed streamlining of environmental reviews for transportation projects, particularly by codifying the one federal decision policy for certain transportation projects. That policy recognizes that delays caused by a never-ending environmental review process can kill or stifle projects and investment. IIJA puts in place a common sense guidepost that NEPA reviews for major transportation projects will take no longer than 2 years, and all environmental permits and other project authorizations should follow within 90 days after that. A clear project type timeline will help to plan, finance, and construct transportation projects within the 5-year authorization window for the federal highway programs. Congress's clear intent, both in the highway bill and in other portions of the IIJA, such as the permanent reauthorization of the Federal Permitting Improvement Steering Council, was to ensure projects are completed faster so that the American people can benefit from the investments. As the agency charged with overseeing implementation of the NEPA Act, as well as the agency that serves as an environmental coordinating hub administration-wide, CEQ can play a unique and instrumental role in implementing Congress's goals. CEQ could institute environmental rule review and permitting efficiencies that can make the IIJA implementation a success. I will say that nothing that I have seen coming out of CEQ assures me that this is what's going to happen. Certainly, improving NEPA efficiency does not appear to be a priority. Instead, CEQ seems very busy implementing executive orders that direct CEQ to manage and develop countless new administration-led policies not authorized in statute, from coming up with an environmental justice screening tool to be employed administration-wide, to managing new federal efforts to transition all government cars to electric vehicles in an unrealistic time frame. CEQ is bogged down with activities imposed by the president unilaterally, and even then, CEQ can't even keep up with the president's own timelines. For example, the draft environmental justice tool was not released until this February, which is actually 5 months after the president's self-imposed deadline. In the meantime, CEQ has not provided, I don't think, adequate attention to actually implementing NEPA. The one major action related to NEPA has taken, I do not believe will speed up projects. Last month, the CEQ rolled back 3 key reforms made to NEPA under the Trump administration. CEQ proposes to put the federal government in charge of deciding the project's purpose and need. CEQ would encourage individual federal agencies to layer on additional review requirements, and CEQ is directing agencies to bring in cumulative and indirect impacts that will have the effect of putting the thumb on the scale against certain projects. In doing so, CEQ has only amplified ambiguity and uncertainty that we're trying to get around within the NEPA review process, which will slow down our project delivery. The opposition from project developers across industries, from road builders to energy producers, has been swift and emphatic. Their message is clear. Why is CEQ making the NEPA process more difficult, not faster and clearer? CEQ has shown no willingness to expedite the review and permitting review process for CCUS as directed by Congress in the Use It Act. CEQ has provided guidance that largely serves to present alleged pros and cons of CCUS and fails to provide concrete direction to federal agencies to actually expedite CCUS projects. That's disappointing to me as somebody who's a big supporter of that, and telling that even with respect to projects that are clearly necessary to the administration's well-publicized climate goals, CEQ is apparently unwilling to propose reforms that could cut that red tape. Chair Mallory, thank you for coming today to discuss some of the issues that I've brought up, and I'm sure you will. This could not be a more important time for this discussion. Just this morning, the administration has released an action plan for expediting permitting decisions, and I look forward to learning more about that plan, as well as how the administration will implement the project delivery improvements enacted by Congress. The actions the administration takes now concerning environmental review and permitting will determine the implementation of the IIJA, the Use It Act, and other recent legislation, how it delivers to the American people the infrastructure improvements that Congress intended and that they deserve. I look forward to today's hearing, and I will turn it over to you, Chair, for your opening statement.